Coming up on WUFT News First at 5, after almost a year off, a local K-9 unit will soon be back in action. What the police department says put the dogs back on duty.
And we have a freeze warning coming in effect for tonight in Alachua County and Gainesville. Wind chills will make temperatures in the early 20s. It doesn't get better Saturday.
Plus, another day of threats to Marion County schools. The message school officials have for the community. WUFT News starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
The Gainesville Police K-9 unit will soon be back on duty after nearly a year of being out of service. I'm Loren, Miranda.
And I'm Bianca Smith. Thank you for joining us. WUFT's Kennedy Chambers is live outside GPD headquarters. Kennedy, we're hearing the unit will be back and active within the next few days.
After 10 months, the Gainesville Police Department K-9 unit will be fully reinstated on Monday. This reinstatement comes after an incident where one of the K-9s mauled out a man's eye. In a press release this morning, GPD Police Chief Lonnie Scott says that the department has met the minimum operational staffing goal. The current limited deployment gave GPD the opportunity to evolve procedures and support its officers. GPD has added 2 K-9 officers and 2 new K-9s. The department says additional changes have been made that focus on safety measures and oversight, including revised training protocol and improved supervision. The Gainesville Police Department did not wish to give WUFT News a statement today. A spokesperson says they will talk more on the topic next week. Kennedy Chambers, WUFT News.
An arrest was made today following additional threats towards multiple Marion County schools.
The arrest comes after a second and consecutive day of threats made to schools in the area. The threats made today mention specific schools and even specific teachers.
And WUFT's Morgan Plotka was in Marion County all day to get a sense of how the area is dealing with the disturbing news.
Vanguard High School is one of the several high schools in Marion County that is now under threat via an online Facebook threat via an anonymous source. Teachers are also being threatened by this anonymous source. Students, parents, and other stakeholders are also curious. Marion County Public Schools and several teachers received an online threat. Some parents pulled their kids out of school. Other parents kept their kids in school but wanted to ensure their safety.
We got a call and an email about what's going on that happened yesterday and today as well. It was very concerning for us and our kids' safety. I have 3 different schools that I have kids all around in Marion County, and that was just a scary moment.
Director of Public Relations Kevin Christian informed the community about the situation. Hours after the post, authorities arrested a suspect.
What happens with a threat like this is that it completely disrupts the entire day, not just for the schools and the school system, but for our entire community. We've got hundreds of thousands of people in Ocala, Marion County, and most of them are connected in one way, shape, or form to a student in a school. And when we have to send out a message that says we've got another social media threat, it interrupts the whole day. It stops the learning process, it dominates the conversation, and it takes us all away from the focus of why we're here, and that's learning, for students to get an education.
The day made some students nervous.
Man, you know, it's all scary, you know, you don't know where it's coming from, you don't know who is who, you know, you just gotta stay on your toes, you know, you never know what may happen.
The Ocala Police Department and Marion County Schools are working together in order to help solve this threat. If you hear anything, we urge you to call the authorities. I'm Morgan Plotka, WUFT News.
The end of your work week was a warm one, but colder temperatures will soon set back in. UF forecaster Gancarz-Davies is timing out the next cold front.
That's right, Loren. We had a cold front come in earlier today, and it's going to be bringing those cooler temperatures with it for this weekend. Currently, temperatures will be going into freezing temperatures for those early morning hours. We have a freeze warning from Alachua north up until that Florida-Georgia line, and those freezing temperatures are going to mean you want to bring your plants and pets inside. We have a frost advisory even going a little bit south towards Ocala, and that freeze in those more northern areas. 32 in Gainesville, getting even a little bit cooler as you go north. 35 in Ocala. Those are going to be coming, of course, from that cold front that came through earlier today, bringing those cold temperatures from the north up in Arkansas and Tennessee towards our region. We had a warm day today, but that is not going to be sticking around.
And Alachua County will activate its cold night shelter program in anticipation of those severe weather conditions. St. Francis House and Grace Marketplace will serve as shelters overnight. St. Francis House will be geared more towards families, women, and children, while Grace Marketplace is primarily for individual adults. Citrus County is also offering a cold weather shelter. It's open tonight and tomorrow night and will utilize the Nature Coast Church in Homosassa for safety, warmth, and food. The shelter is still looking for volunteers to help between the hours of 5:30 p.m. and 7:15 a.m. If you're interested in volunteering, call 352-234-3099. And teachers and educational support employees will see a bump in their salaries after the Alachua County School Board approved the increase in a meeting today. This new salary schedule will give employees a 3.5% increase in addition to the step increase they received at the beginning of the school year. The raise will be retroactive depending on a teacher's 2023 to 2024 contract start date. The salary was ratified with an overwhelming majority of the Alachua County Education Association. That raise will go towards teachers' pay, as well as bus drivers, custodians, food service workers, and office staff.
A shift is coming to the world of high school football. The Florida High School Athletic Association decided to go back to its previous classification system for the next season. WUFT's Emilio Boutros looked at the standards to give us some insight.
It's only been 2 years since FHSAA's last classification change. This time, officials decided to classify schools based on enrollment and location. Under this previous ruling, schools made up 9 total classes with 3 different categorizations. Now, it's all changed. The Florida High School Athletic Association changed its standards 2 years ago. Throughout the 2 years, it prospered with more competitive playoff games. The schools in Florida's top 8 most populated counties, including heavy hitters like Miami-Dade, Broward, Orange, and Duval counties, were put in the M, or Metro classification. Schools from the other 59 counties were put in the Suburban, or S class. The goal was to give the schools from smaller counties a chance. Generally, the metro areas dominate the sport. The plan garnered a ton of support. Buchholz head football coach Charles Baker was in favor.
We're excited. I was excited about the Metro Suburban split because the numbers showed that it worked. We eliminated a third of the running clock games in the playoffs, and then we almost doubled the number of playoff games that were finalized by 1 score or less.
Now, FHSAA is changing back to its old ways. Schools will be classified by enrollment, removing the Metro and Suburban classification. The classifications start at 1A and go to 7A. The Metro Suburban split was only endorsed by small county schools coaches, but also by Miami-based head coach Dave Dunn from Christopher Clemens High School.
So I thought the games were more competitive, more teams won. Like a team like Cardinal Mooney played for a state title this year, then played for, I think they won a state championship like in the 1950s. And I thought in that part it was good. I'm not sure why they went back, because I heard people speak about it during the vote, and I thought it worked.
What's in the works now is a familiar change back to the way the FHSAA used to classify high school gridiron play. With the new classifications, Buchholz High School heads from 4S to 5A, Gainesville High School goes from 3S to 4A, and Newberry makes the switch from 2S to 2A. One thing to take note of, before the suburban and metro classifications, there was an 8A. At this time, the classifications only go up to 7A. Live in the studio, Emilio Boutros, WFT News.
We're headed into the weekend and you might be looking for something fun to do with your time off.
And if you're a fan of the TV show The Last of Us, you might be able to see what happens in the next season early. We'll get a look at some of the ways we'll be entertained in the near future when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
In a recent Pew Research Center survey, climate change ranks 17 out of 21 most important national issues.
But local organizations are aiming to call environmental issues back to public attention. WUFT's Jared Titel is live in the studio to tell us how.
Since 1999, everyday items with high levels of toxic chemicals are removed from local households and small businesses. Leading the charge is one Alachua County Center, disposing hundreds of thousands of items with hundreds of gallons of fuel. 25 years ago, the Alachua County Household Hazardous Waste Collection Center opened its doors. The facility stands as one of the only in the state with a budget of more than $1 million. Wide in funds and space, staff collect hundreds of overlooked and outdated materials, from tube TVs to nicotine.
Pretty much take anything you have and we'll find something to do with it.
Gus Olmos is 4 years in as director of the Alachua County Household Hazardous Waste Collection Center. In all, he's dedicated 3 decades with the county's Environmental Protection Department. He credits the bulk of the work to the people in the area.
The participation that we get from the local community is huge. People in this county and people in the surrounding counties, they want to do the right thing.
Doing the right thing involves producing hundreds of biodiesel fuel gallons, something staff say is significant to clean water.
It's an alternative to cooking oil going into the trash, and it also helps GRU keep oils from going down the drain, which causes clogged drains and sewage backups.
The staff here at the Hazardous Waste Collection Center conduct 25 collective co-ops each year, collecting hazardous waste from neighboring counties such as Putnam, Dixie, and Gilchrist that do not have access to larger facilities such as this to drop off their hazardous waste materials. Their next collective co-op will be February 3rd at Gilchrist County. It's open and operating 7 days a week. Collection Center staff continue being committed to cleaning one community at a time. For the center's future, Olmos says his team intends to expand the facility's location by 2026. Reporting live in the studio, Jared Titel, WUFT News.
We've been recapping the Consumers Electronics Show in Las Vegas and giving you some snippets of what the future might look like. WUFT's Jacob Sadesi kicks off the weekend with a fun look at the latest technology for entertainment.
Las Vegas might be known for the fun, but you're probably not thinking of this kind. Entertainment is a huge part of consumer electronics, and it starts with a screen. The most dazzling new one this year is the transparent TV from LG. But if you do want a more traditional TV experience, you can roll up the curtains, as they say, and make the background of the screen black as well. But you'll need a game to play on it. The Last of Us Part 2 is the basis for the next season of the show, and it's enhanced for PlayStation 5. I couldn't film because it wasn't out at the time, but it is today. Hey! I also got to try the new PlayStation VR headset with a game themed to the new Ghostbusters. Both the helmet and game are out today, but you'll need a PS5. VR was everywhere, from roller coasters to glasses. But sometimes, the visor just isn't enough. It's not just VR headsets on display, there's all kinds of immersive tech, including this chair and these headphones that actually vibrate to simulate the game that I'm playing with. So all around, there's so much here to focus on making our virtual worlds more immersive. In Las Vegas, Jacob Sadesi, WUFT News.
Awesome, and if you missed any part of this week's coverage and you want to catch up, you can see a roundup with more details on all the tech at our website, WUFT.org.
We've got a big temperature drop coming up this weekend. I'll be timing out that weekend freeze after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Despite warm temperatures today, we are going to be having quite a sudden and drastic drop tomorrow evening. We'll have a freeze warning for areas north of Gainesville here in Alachua County. And here are those temperatures for your Saturday morning. 32 in Gainesville, right on that freezing mark, with most areas north having even a couple degrees lower. We have a frost warning extending just slightly south of Alachua and a freeze warning for those northern areas that are going to be quite cooler. Looking at our campus cam right now, you can see a good amount of clouds in the sky, but temperatures are quite warmer than they will be for the rest of the weekend. 68 right now. You can see we have just a tiny bit of wind coming from the northwest. That's what's going to be bringing those colder temperatures. This evening, starting at 8 p.m., it'll be around 54 degrees, and that's when we're really going to start to see that cool down that will be extending itself into the morning. 42 degrees around 2 a.m., heading towards that freezing mark right at 32. Looking at our winter alerts for tonight, there will be quite significant wind chill, making those already freezing temperatures extend even lower, down to 20 degrees. Those low 20s are quite cold. You might not want to be spending much time outside if you're able to avoid it. Looking at our hour-by-hour forecast for tomorrow, you can see those temperatures climbing just a little bit in that early morning, out of those freezing, but still quite cold. Moving up to the highs at just above 50 degrees, moving back down into the evening, we'll have an even cooler Sunday than we did for Saturday. Now, looking at our Sunday evening weather alerts, we will have a hard freeze watch for those areas north of Alachua County, so temperatures are going to be even lower than that 32-degree mark, and we have a normal freeze watch until 9 a.m. for Ocala and even areas south of Gainesville. After it gets out of those early morning hours, it is going to warm up just a little bit, but when you're heading out the door around 7 a.m., it's still going to be below freezing, so you're going to want to be wearing plenty of layers. Even cooler up north, 26 in Live Oak, 31 in Jacksonville along the coast. Those cooler areas are going to be coming down. The cooler temperatures up in Arkansas and Tennessee are going to be pulled by this high pressure system more towards Florida as we move towards that Sunday morning mark. As that high pressure system moves, winds are going to be shifting, and instead of coming north-northwest, they're going to be coming from more north-northeast, even a little bit from that coast area, and that's when we're going to start to see that warming up just a little bit as we move into Monday morning. So again, those cold temperatures for the weekend, 30s in those early morning, hitting those freezing 50s as your highs, and getting just a bit warmer as we move into Monday with highs in the upper 60s, still having quite cold lows, and getting even warmer throughout the week up until 80 degrees.
Coming up in sports, we'll update you about everything going on in the 2 matchups in Gators men's tennis today. Also, what Todd Goldman had to say before Florida men's basketball game against Missouri.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome into sports. I'm Jamie Goldman. Developing news tonight as the Tampa Bay Times is reporting that the Florida Gators football program has been under investigation by the NCAA since June of 2023. No further details have been provided at this time. We will keep you updated as more information is released. We now move to the tennis court as the Gators men's tennis team had 2 matches today. In their first matchup, the Gators took care of business, getting a win over the Citadel. After winning the doubles match, Aiden Kin set the tone for the Gators, beating his opponent in straight sets, and the Gators never looked back, winning the match 4-0. The Gators match against North Florida is currently in play as we speak. The 2 teams are battling it out in doubles play right now. 7th-ranked Gators gymnastic is back in action tonight as they head to Auburn for their first road meet of the season. The Gators are looking to stay undefeated after sweeping their season-opening quad meet last week. Freshman Anna Pilgrim earned SEC Freshman of the Week after winning at least a share of 4 events in Florida's first meet. Getting a win tonight will be a tall task for the Gators as Auburn is currently ranked as the 12th team ranked in the nation. The meet is scheduled to begin at 6 in Auburn. Gators basketball is back on the road tomorrow for a matchup with the Missouri Tigers. Playing on the road has not been kind to the Gators as Florida is still searching for their first road win.
Yeah, well, it's really negative trend right now. Right, we've defended like a top 20 team at home, and we defended really, really poorly away from here, specifically on the road.
The Gators and the Tigers are scheduled to tip off tomorrow night at 8 in Missouri. In high school hoops, the Purple Palace was rocking last night as Gainesville High's boys basketball team took down the Santa Fe Raiders by 23 points. Gainesville took 11-9 lead in the first quarter and never looked back. Senior Anthony Leavenen couldn't be stopped last night, pouring in a career-best 29 points. This win moves Gainesville to 11-8 on the season. They'll be back in action tomorrow night when they hit the road to face Columbia High. One final note before we go, Gators tennis legend Ben Shelton fell to Adrian Mannarino in 5 sets last night in the 3rd round of the Australian Open.
I'm telling you right now, if we start practicing now, we can make it to the Australian Open, guys. Who's with me?
Absolutely. I'm doing doubles with you. Ben, what's our practice looking like this weekend?
Well, unfortunately, this weekend might not be the weekend to start our practice, but you might have some better luck later in the week as the temperatures will be climbing from those freezing temperatures up until 80 degrees on Friday. Those temperatures climbing.
Thanks, Ben. And BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.